Hi everybody, Colton Young here on the Northern Ag Network, bringing you today's Northern Ag TV. We're joined here by the state veterinarian Tahnee Szymanski, and we're here at the Board of Livestock meeting. There's a lot on the agenda today. You'll be speaking this afternoon talking about several different topics. Why don't you fill us in on how the Board of Livestock meeting is going here today?
I think we're off to a good start. It's nice to be here in Billings today, which is a little bit of a departure for the department. But I think it's a great opportunity to get out across the state and maybe make the meeting a little bit more accessible to others.
Yep, absolutely. It's great to bring it out here to Billings. It's been a lot of years in Helena and different parts of the state, so good to come out here towards eastern Montana. And there's a lot to talk about as we look at the countryside. We have screwworm and avian influenza that we've been discussing and looking towards. So why don't you fill us in a little bit on some of the screwworm activity? It hasn't reached the states yet, but what are your thoughts on the screwworm?
I think that most recent detection in Mexico was about 300 miles from the Texas border, and that certainly got everybody's attention. The United States is really trying to plan as if it's going to arrive here, while also at the national level, USDA is working really hard to try and prevent that from happening by collaboration with Mexico. Within the United States, there's a national working group that I'm participating in, and we're having conversations about what response looks like, what control zones look like, what treatments are necessary, inspections to move animals, what movement restrictions will be in place, kind of all of the pieces for us to hopefully hit the ground running if we do get a detection in the states.
Yep, there's a lot of logistics that need to be worked out. Are there anything that producers can be looking for specifically as we're heading into the fall time and looking towards winter? I know calving season could be a possibility of seeing an opportunity for the screwworm to enter. What are some signs that producers maybe need to be looking for if it does enter the United States?
Yeah, so the interesting thing about New World screwworm is that it can affect any warm-blooded mammal. And so it certainly as producers, it will have the most impact to our livestock industry. But even, dogs, horses, even people can be of concern. And so wounds on animals that get maggot infestation associated with them that just seem maybe more severe than we're used to because these animals will feed on living tissue. A lot of times you'll see secondary infections, and so really severe infestations is what people need to really be watching for.
Yeah, and we saw earlier this year, it's kind of been quiet, but the highly pathogenic avian influenza, we haven't really seen it here in Montana. Can you fill us in a little bit? Like I said, it's been kind of quiet the last few months, but it's still obviously a major concern for the state veterinarian.
Yeah, so Montana hasn't had a case since, I think January of this year. Nationally, it's been more than 30 days since we've seen any cases in either domestic poultry or in dairy cattle, so that's very promising. This does, however, tend to be the time of year where the virus will kind of lay down in hot and dry conditions, and so we're all kind of eagerly looking forward to what fall migration will bring for us when those birds come back across, if we start to see an uptick in cases again. So trying to keep vigilance up, trying to keep awareness up to make sure that people know what to look for, report as necessary, and that we can respond. But we are cautiously optimistic that maybe we're nearing the end of this outbreak.
Well, that's good that we're optimistic and finally seeing kind of a decline in the outbreak means we finally have a control on that. And as we're talking about a lot of these disease and issues with animal health, of course, Montana prides themselves as being brucellosis free in the state. There's a lot of producers that work hard to keep it that way. A lot of programs within the Board of Livestock and the state health. Why don't you fill us in on some of those programs for brucellosis?
Yeah, so I think one of the really maybe exciting things that we have going on with brucellosis right now is hopefully everybody is aware that the disease was delisted in December, so no longer on the select agent list, which removes some of the barriers as far as research is concerned. We are working with Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, as well as other state and federal animal health and wildlife agencies to bring together kind of a working group that's going to spend maybe the next realistically 12 months, if not longer, to look at what are we doing on the landscape that's working, where are places that we can maybe make advancements in how we're managing the disease on the landscape, maybe lessen the load for producers that live in the greater Yellowstone area and are subject to these regulations, and then really what are our research needs and see if we can try to get maybe a collective effort and push forward to make some gains. So one of the things that we really notice is just a level of producer fatigue associated with the program. We're 15 plus years in, there's been no lift in the program. And so is there something that we can learn over the work that we've done over the last decade to maybe make some gains for producers?
Yep, still some work to do, but a lot of optimism as we look at a lot of these programs and the efforts moving forward. And Dr. Tahnee, we thank you for joining us here today and filling us in on all the information. There's a lot going on and a lot to be thankful for and to look forward as we head into the fall time.
Thank you. Nice talking with you.
And thanks everyone for watching this episode of Northern Ag TV. I'm Colton Young, Northern Ag Network.